Hello, this is Stick Knight, and today we'll be reviewing my D&D character from my first campaign made with LEGO, Peter Rustworth. For my first D&D campaign, I decided to be an automaton fighter, considering it was a relatively simple class to choose, although the race is a little iffy, especially considering D&D Beyond doesn't exactly have that unless you pay for expansions, which I'm not going to, especially considering this is my first campaign. I built him out of LEGO because it sounded like a fun project, and I really wanted to get a visualization of my character in real life. That way I could have something to imagine while playing. I'm playing with all of my friends, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm also excited to show you guys my idea of what my character looks like. I wanted to make him the tank of the team, so I built him pretty large, and he has a giant sword to go along with him. Since he's an automaton, basically a robot, I gave him lots of interesting armor and color designs, and I made sure to make everything look like metal, especially his inner workings underneath the armor. Here's a close-up of all his front details, as well as all of his back details. You can see that on the back it's quite messy, and I actually went purposefully with that to sort of emphasize the steampunk style I was going for. It's a mix of steampunk and medieval, especially considering this one, like most D&D campaigns, are in the medieval era. So I went ahead and made that decision to make it sort of like a knight, but I also wanted to add some steampunk parts in there to make it purposefully noted that it is in fact a robot in the medieval era. I'm relatively proud on his posability, more on his articulation later, and here are some interesting poses I found for him. Here's a size comparison with my Monster Hunter Bone Greatsword, check that video out. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, this looks like a great size for him. With a little bit of modifications to his hand, I'd say that looks pretty cool. We have the obvious head swivel on a 1x2 jumper plate and a 1x1 round stud, and most of my other builds I prefer to have more range with the head, usually an up and down motion and a side tilt, but with him I just didn't care to make it too complex because he is a robot after all, and I do enjoy just the simpler movements. His shoulder pads give a nice up and down movement to allow for the arm, which has an outward swing, a forward swing, and at the elbow we have full control over that and that as well, and his hand can move any direction and actually inward too a little bit in case you want more personality to it, and that's his arms and his shoulder. Luckily the shoulder pad moving up gives a lot of room for that, and when you're done moving the arm you can just push down the shoulder pad to match the size of it, although sometimes this gold plate right here, although it looks really nice, it does get in the shoulder pad's way a little bit. So, but other than that, there's a lot of posability in the arms, and I'm really proud of that. He has a very nice waist swivel as well, although it can be quite finicky sometimes. But I don't say I'd particularly need it that often anyway. It's just a little bit of movement, especially considering these plates right here are pretty much blocking that entirely. Although I do wish there was more waist movement, I do prefer these really nice side plates. Of course, the legs also have a great amount of mobility. They can swing all the way out if they wanted to, although this plate does indeed get in the way for not complete outward swing. Obviously, it can swing forward as much as it wants, and it has a knee joint as well down here. Not too much because this plate is in the way, but you can get the same expression with his foot as well. And besides, if you really needed that movement, you could twist around his entire assembly to get that movement if you needed, although it does inverse his shin quite a bit. But honestly, I think that's a win-win. I like to have it at this sort of halfway angle to get the most height out of him as I can. And besides, if I had it at this angle, there would be no extra movement in the back. So I like to have the normal right there. So yeah, he has a lot of leg mobility. And the nice thing is the foot I put on a ball joint so it can tilt in and out for his foot placement, and then as well as in and sideways as well. It's a great amount of options I have for his legs, and it's a great thing to make him so stable while he's standing. The interesting thing I found out about his chest cavity is if I take this plate off right here, you can see how I connected all of this in the inside. I had 2 Travis bricks on each side of him, basically being the shoulders, and in the middle I have, you can't see that because it's very dark, but there's 2 T-joints connected by these 1x2 round plates in the middle. There's a black one on this side and a black one in the back to keep that all together. And then I made this nice angle to it. And the entire reason why I didn't choose a centerpiece to build all the rest around is because I really wanted to add these lightsaber pieces as sort of metal pistons, because I really wanted to give that robotic feel to him, especially considering he's automaton. Now, what's actually really nice about that is I'm going to keep this and the plate off to show you, but what's really interesting about that is you can take this entire middle, well, there goes his lower half. You can take this entire middle section and tilt it downwards at your disposal, so he does sort of have a downwards tilt. Now, if we put this back on, because it tends to break off quite a bit, oh, well, it is quite finicky, especially considering how unstable his chest is. Besides, I did sacrifice quite a lot for these pistons. I'll get back to you when after 5 minutes of painstakingly piecing him back together, I finally have the result of his little ab crunch that I found out halfway through making this video. It's not a big difference, especially considering his front chest plate bumps into this 1x1 gold clip in the middle of his entire assembly, but it's enough of a difference to give him enough personality, because if you look at it from the side, it is quite the difference. It looks like he's really bent down or limping sort of, or he's just looking downward, and that helps a lot, especially considering his limited head range. So yeah, I like that a lot, and it's just the fun little things you find out while building these guys that I find great joy in. All of this steampunk kibble on his back, you do have some range of motion with them. You can take these and flare them out a little bit up and down, and just a wide variety of different movements you can do with that. These don't move a whole lot, especially considering they're on that little handlebar in the inside. This back plate does move quite a bit, especially considering it's on this plate, so it can move down to the side, which I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but hey, maybe he's in the wind or something and they're all being moved around by the wind. These, I'm not sure what to call them, maybe gas, whatever, but yeah, they do have some differences too. You can make them flare more outward for more movement and less stiffness look to it. And then of course these little things are each individually moving, although not sure why you wouldn't want to point those up, because especially considering that's the direction all the others are going. I do have this little droid arm in the middle, but that's mainly just to cover up this entire hole in the center of his chest. Especially considering how I said before, this entire assembly is built around his 2 shoulders. So yeah, he has a lot of movement in the back as well, just not an important movement. On another note, I'd like to thank you all for helping me get to 100 subscribers recently. It's really great and great motivation to help me keep going with this YouTube channel. This one is going to mainly focus on my LEGO MOCs in the future, and I really enjoy doing that, especially considering my first video was of my LEGO Bumblebee, which got 10,000 views recently. That's also a great milestone to hit, although oddly enough, my other videos only have a couple hundred, which is strange. But other than that, I'm super grateful for the 100 subscribers, and I love you guys, and thanks for helping me get there. today I showed you guys my D&D character for my new campaign that I'm going into. I've shown you my Monster Hunter Sword MOC, my Carson GT Nighthawk car from Burnout Paradise. I've shown you my Roxanne Wolf build, which does have the other 3 security breach animatronics going with it. Weebrick just hasn't given me the parts yet. Something about shipping delays. But other than that, I built the Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story and the Destiny 2 weapons. But I would show you my Lego Bumblebee from my most popular video, except I do not have him around anymore, especially considering I needed his parts for the Pizza Planet truck and other builds as well. So it's a shame that I wouldn't get to show him off, especially considering he is basically one of the main reasons my channel gets so much attention. But I do look forward to making more videos in the future, and thank you for watching. This has been Stick Knight.